You ever have one of those weeks where you're just begging for a little peace, and instead, life decides to drop a circus in your front yard? That's exactly what happened to me. I was out in my garden trimming roses like I always do when I need to clear my head when the phone rang. Unknown number. Normally I let those go, but I run a little guest house on my property, so I figured why not, maybe it's a booking. I answered, and right away this sharp nasal voice cut through like nails on a chalkboard. "Hello, I'm calling about your little cottage." She dragged those two words like she was talking about a shack, held together with duct tape, not the guest house I built myself stone by stone, wood beam by wood beam. Then she launched into this speech about how her son needed a place for a small gathering. Very respectable families, future leaders, none of the element I probably usually rent to. I froze with the pruning shears in my hand, staring at the roses. Did she really just imply what I thought she implied? I've been hosting travelers for 5 years. Families, honeymooners, artists, even a retired teacher who sat on the porch painting sunsets all week. And here's this woman reducing it all to coded insults. I tried to keep it professional. I told her, "Ma'am, the guest house is listed on the platforms, the calendar and rules are there." That's my way of saying, follow the rules like everybody else. But she huffed, said she doesn't do platforms. Her son had already chosen my place, apparently. She name-dropped some fraternity, claimed it wasn't a party, just a gathering of the top boys, then tossed in another jab about not having to worry about urban behavior. At that point, I knew I was done. No way I was letting these people anywhere near my place. I told her the property wasn't available for events, tried to give her a polite exit. Instead, she doubled down, bragged about her husband's friends on city council, hinted at paying extra to make it happen. It wasn't a request anymore, it was a demand. I hung up, shaking roses, forgotten, feeling like my quiet little world had been poisoned. I thought that was it wrong. An hour later, I got a text. "Yo, this is Brad. My mom said you're confused. Don't worry, bro. We'll be there Saturday. Just leave the gate open." My jaw dropped. No booking, no payment, nothing. Just straight up declaring they were coming. I shot back. "There is no booking. My property is not available. Do not come, you will be trespassing." He replied instantly. Sunglasses emoji and all, saying his dad's a lawyer and I don't know what trespassing means. Then the emails started rolling in. The mom, let's call her Linda, sent me subject lines like, "finalizing details for Saturday." She asked if I had enough parking for 25 cars, if the outdoor sound system was good enough for a playlist. "I've got one Bluetooth speaker for gardening, that's it." They were planning a full rager. I copied and pasted the same response every time: no booking, no agreement, do not come. She twisted it around, accusing me of discrimination against her clean-cut son, threatening that her husband wouldn't take it lightly. That's when anger started to replace fear. I printed every text, every email, every screenshot. I knew I might need them. Friday came. I got a call from a man this time. He didn't introduce himself, didn't even say hello. Just, "I don't have time for this. I've sent you $2,000. Consider it settled. My son will be there tomorrow. Don't make this a problem." Then he hung up. I checked my phone, sure enough, $2,000 through a payment app. Way more than a weekend stay ever costs. A bribe. I refunded it immediately, attached a note spelling it out again: no reservation, no agreement. You will be trespassing. That was the final warning. I reinforced the guest house lock, checked my cameras, even called the police non-emergency line. They made a note, told me to call 911 if anyone showed up. Saturday evening, the air was heavy and still. I was starting to think maybe they got the message. I made myself dinner, sat on the porch, and then I heard it, the low rumble of bass, deep and heavy. My stomach dropped. A massive black party bus crawled down the street, neon lights flashing inside, music pounding so loud it rattled my windows. It stopped right in front of my driveway. Doors hissed open, and a wave of kids spilled out carrying beer and bottles, laughing, already rowdy. And leading them was Brad. Blonde hair, backward cap, pastel button-up, wide open, like he thought he was on some yacht in Miami. He smirked at me like I was the help. He swaggered up to my gate. "Yo, man, guess you got our payment. Open up. Party's waiting." Behind him, 30 kids stared, phones already out. This was his big moment, showing off how he secured the perfect party spot. I just walked down the stone path, calm, steady, that cold anger in my chest. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "There is no party here. You were told not to come. You are trespassing." He blinked, laughed nervously, then scowled. "What did you just say?" "We paid you. My dad sent you $2,000. We got a contract." I held up my phone. "No contract. Money refunded. Receipt right here." His face went red. The crowd behind him was murmuring, some kids filming a couple girls giggling at how bad it looked for him. I slid the deadbolt through the iron gate, pressed the electronic lock button. Chunk. Beep. The sound of finality. I leaned back, arms folded. "You were saying Brad lost it." He shook the gate, screamed about how I couldn't do this, how his dad would sue me into the ground. "This is my party." "I reserved this place," he shouted, voice cracking. I told him flat, "You've got 1 minute to get back on that bus, or I'm calling the police." The word police sobered some of the crowd, but Brad doubled down, spitting out the same disgusting line his mom had tried calling me racist, threatening to spin the story. What he didn't know was my camera was already recording his tantrum. I lifted it just enough and said quietly, "Keep talking. Give me all the evidence I need." And he did. He even called 911, put it on speaker, and lied through his teeth, claiming I robbed them, locked their stuff inside, and held them hostage. I didn't argue. I leaned on the gate, arms crossed, waiting. Within 10 minutes, 2 cruisers rolled up, lights flashing. The crowd went quiet, trying to look innocent. Brad rushed forward like a little kid tattling on the playground, spewing lies about me stealing their money. The officer turned to me, calm as can be, and asked for my side. I handed over my phone texts, emails, refund receipt, even the video of Brad screaming and shaking the gate. Neighbor Sarah walked up, then said she saw the whole bus arrive, had gotten my text warning her. The cops pieced it together quickly. They turned to Brad, voice firm. "Son, you filed a false report. That's a serious offense." His face drained white. His friends shuffled awkwardly back onto the bus. The whole swagger was gone. It was a walk of shame. The officer asked me if I wanted to press charges. I thought about it, thought about dragging this mess through court. But in the end, I just said no. I just want them gone. They left. The bus groaned away and the street went quiet again. But I had a sinking feeling it wasn't over. Sure enough, that night, Karen herself took to Facebook. She posted a twisted story about how her son, this honor student, booked my place for a charity event, how I took their money and locked them out. She painted me as unstable, racist, dangerous. For a moment, my stomach turned cold. Then the comments rolled in. Some of her friends cheered her on, but others pushed back past guests who said I was the best host they ever had, neighbors who smelled the lies. And Sarah, bless her, wrote her own post. She framed it as a neighborhood issue, said we shouldn't tolerate big party houses disrupting our street, praised me for standing up. It was brilliant. The tide started to turn, but Karen and her crew weren't done. Fake one-star reviews hit my listings, tanking my perfect rating. Then a letter came, thick envelope, law firm seal. Brad's father, the lawyer, accusing me of fraud, demanding 10 grand in damages and a public apology, threatening to revoke my business license if I didn't comply. I'll admit for a minute I felt crushed. But then I called my cousin Mark, a retired journalist who lives for digging into people's skeletons, and I called my lawyer. Mark hit gold. Brad was on academic probation, facing a disciplinary hearing for hazing. Karen was notorious in her HOA, hated by neighbors for her petty fines and bans. And the dad. He wasn't just a lawyer, he represented a developer trying to buy up property on my street for luxury condos. Suddenly, it all clicked. The fake booking, the harassment, the smear campaign, it wasn't just entitlement. It was a strategy. They wanted to run me out so the developer could snatch my land. Armed with that, my lawyer drafted a masterpiece of a response. He dismantled every claim attached, all my evidence, then flipped it, accused them of harassment, defamation, even unethical conflict of interest tied to the development deal. He threatened a complaint to the state bar. We sent it by courier. And just like that, silence. No lawsuit. Nothing. But the war wasn't over. Karen kept pushing online until finally she showed up in person at my gate. Alone, looking exhausted. She asked what it would take to make it stop. I told her straight, remove the fake reviews, post a public apology, admitting the truth, and tell her husband's firm to leave our neighborhood alone. Her face twisted like I'd asked her to swallow nails. But within a day, the reviews vanished. That night, her apology went up in the Facebook group. Stilted, forced, but it admitted everything, that there was no booking, that I was professional, that she lied. My neighbors exploded with support. The developer soon withdrew their condo proposal. The war was over. Life went back to quiet. My guest house was booked solid again, even more so, because people wanted to support me. Strangers left 5-star reviews just for standing up to bullies. I sat on my porch one evening with Sarah, sipping wine, laughing about the whole thing. She said they'd probably never understand why they lost. They saw everything as power and money, but the truth was simple. I had boundaries, evidence, and a community that cared. That night at the gate, me locking it in Brad's face, arms folded with that little smirk. That was the moment everything shifted. It wasn't arrogance, it was the confidence of knowing I was right, and they couldn't touch me. In the end, they destroyed themselves. So here's my question for you. What would you have done in my place? Press charges and drag them through court, or do what I did and settle it at the gate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where you stand on justice versus peace. And if you've ever dealt with neighbors or families who thought the world owed them everything, I want to hear those stories too. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more, because trust me, there's always another Karen out there waiting.